Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And Blue Dragon 5.
And welcome to the show where we wax poetic about the movies we see on a month-to-month basis. It's time to crack open our
Movie
Memoirs.
Memoirs!
And on a month where Jesus' birthday also fell on 420, we got a light batch of movies this month, but a good batch of movies. But before we get into the new releases, Dragon, we have to go over the news and a little bit of a light news month as well. We just have one news item and then some trailers. So, Dragon, you want to take the lead on the one news item we have?
Well, you know what they say, no news is good news, so.
In the realm of celebrity deaths, yes, absolutely.
That's what I mean, yeah, so I'll take no news. All right, with, the
Kokias, I'm sorry to break it to you. Neither of us saw the Minecraft movie. We will not be talking Minecraft tonight. I'm so sorry. All right, go ahead, Dragon. I'm sorry.
So, with May the 4th around the corner, they dropped a little bit of Star Wars news this month. Maul, the Shadow Lord series, has been announced.
Is this live action, I assume?
Well, I believe it's animated. I could have sworn.
Oh, it's animated. Okay, my bad.
Admittedly, I don't know if they specified that, but I could have sworn it was like animated per like all the.
My
other,
whole thing is that like if it is animated, like we've gotten quite a bit of animated Darth Maul content, and we already had that kind of tease for more live action Darth Maul at the end of Solo, which was one of the more exciting elements of Solo. So I don't know. Yes, it's going to be animated, says Little Blue. I'm not crazy about that idea, Dragon. I'm just going to be honest with you. I think we've already done quite a lot with Darth Maul in the animated realm. I just kind of...
Why not add more?
I don't know. He's a cool character. I just kind of feel like we've literally seen... Like, granted, I haven't seen all the Darth Maul stuff from Clone Wars, but like...
You're the audience for this!
I don't know. I just I did see his arc in Rebels, and
did you like it?
Was a great arc, but I don't know.
I heard it was a great arc. It sounds like we could use more of it.
So I take it you're more excited about this than I am.
I mean, in general, I think you've outlined all the reasons. Like, Darth Maul in animation kind of works. It's where he flourishes. So, I mean, why not do more of it? Now, mind you, May the 4th is when they're going to put out the next one of these. But, they've been doing I really like this. The short form serialized, like the Tales of the Jedi, and they call it Tales of the Sith. The Tales of the Jedi, the Sith, and they have a new one coming out too. It's going to be about like Ventress and stuff. It's like about like the crime side of Star Wars. But I've been liking those. So I mean, if it's like something in the short form like that, like just like kind of a mini series of Darth Maul and just kind of filling in the blanks for that character, I mean, why not?
Sure.
Yeah.
We'll see. Let's see. Little Blue says Tales of the Underworld. That's what's coming.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, not even that. Well, yeah, this month. I mean, basically this I guess Sunday.
May the 4th. Is it coming out on May the 4th?
Well, it's supposed to. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, Sunday.
Yeah.
All right. Well, look. I guess for me, I'm a little bit Star Warsed out, but I'll see. I'll check it out, probably.
Now, are you flourishing right now with Andor?
I got to be honest with you, Dragon. I haven't even started Andor.
There's like 6 episodes up.
Yeah, I know. I'm not crazy about releasing 3 of them in a row, so I think I'm just going to binge it when it's all out.
Okay.
I don't know. I just don't like the release model. All right. So some trailers then?
Yes, gobs of them.
We do. We have quite a few of them. Okay, so Life of Chuck. We finally we got a brief teaser trailer last month. It wasn't substantial enough.
It's just Tom Hiddleston walking. It didn't tell us anything about
it. Right. But Dragon, one of your big I would say, is it fair to say that Mark Hamill is kind of like on your Mount Rushmore of actors?
Well, I do adore Mark Hamill. He is. I don't know if he's on. I don't know if he makes the mountain, but he's up there.
And so Mark Hamill is all over this trailer in a very good way.
Yeah, I mean, I knew he was going to be in it, but the fact that, oh man, we give him a nice meaty role, like
Uh-huh.
yes,
Uh-huh.
that's what we. Plus, it's so look, I love Mark Hamill just period. I love the man, but so underrated in the realm of live action. Like we do not really we barely ever do anything with Mark Hamill in live action. These days, like in a post Star Wars world, and that's always been a crying
I
shame.
don't know.
So
I kind of feel like he's gotten like it's all like very obscure indie stuff,
yeah,
like Brigsby Bear and stuff
yeah,
like that.
and he's killed it when he's in there. He's
He's been
awesome when
great in
he's
that stuff,
yeah.
yeah. But like
That's
I
a
don't know.
yeah.
I kind of feel like ever since the Last Jedi, like say what you will about the Last Jedi, I still really like the Luke stuff in that
Yeah,
movie.
I like Luke in the Last Jedi.
Other parts of that movie I don't think have aged as well, but
Agreed.
I digress. But yeah, I think he has gotten a little bit more attention. But yeah, I think this might be kind of like a good sort of like, hey, we really need to pay attention to Mark Hamill again outside of just the Joker and Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
What do you think of just the kind of the whole like life story thing with the Tom Hiddleston character? Because if anything, I think it maybe looks a little bit sappy. Like I'm still excited to see it. I do think it's weird that because Mike Flanagan, he does have heart in his stuff. Like, I think that's one of the things that is very appealing about something like Haunting of Hill House or Midnight Mass. My personal favorite thing he's done is that he does have a lot of humanity in what he does. But I think it's a little weird that they're advertising it as like, oh, the soul of Mike Flanagan. It's like, horror is at the end of the day Mike Flanagan's wheelhouse more than human drama, as much as human drama is a good component of it. So I'm interested to see Mike Flanagan take on something like this, because by all intents and purposes, this looks like the first thing the man's been involved in where there's no supernatural element to it. It's just straight Stephen King drama.
Well, I mean, as you can kind of see, like when the whole, like the man who brought you this and this and this, we have like Green Mile, Stand by Me, Shawshank, like these are my kind of Stephen King movies, and the fact that we're kind of like we're citing those, and this is like not going in the usual horror direction, like this instills confidence. This might be a Stephen King movie I can watch.
We'll see.
Like those three. So yeah, I mean, I'm down for it. I'm pretty sold on it, even if it is slice of life. I mean, I'll take slice of life with some really good actors in it. I don't know. It's it's got a very strong cast, and I admit it does occur to me like there's so much against making a Stephen King movie like this in terms of marketing. I think they know that going into this, which is why we're being so cryptic with Life of Chuck.
Right.
We have no way of just selling a nice movie these days, so we got to sell mystery. Life of Chuck. How will it end?
Yeah, well, I'm definitely excited about it. I'm pretty sure it was on my top 10 anticipated of the year.
It was.
All right. Okay, so next up we have, this is more my thing. I know Wes Anderson. I know you appreciate Wes Anderson.
I like the Wes Anderson that I've seen,
All right, the Phoenician Scheme. I will admit, Dragon, once again, this movie does not feel like entry-level Wes Anderson by any means. This movie feels like it is deep in the sauce Wes Anderson territory. I'm totally here for it. I've been a fan of Michael Cera for a long time, and I'm not sure if I'm actually like liking what Michael Cera is doing here, but I'm intrigued by it. I don't know if it can hold like a full performance, but I'm intrigued by it. I like Benicio del Toro as the lead in a Wes Anderson movie. I've always loved Benicio del Toro, so that's going to be an exciting component to this thing. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to like this as much as Asteroid City, because that I still think to this day, I still maintain that's probably my number one Wes Anderson movie when all is said and done. But I think this has the potential to be up there. I don't know. We'll see. I kind of feel like Wes Anderson has this trajectory where he'll do one movie that's a little bit more crowd pleasing, and then he'll do one movie that's like really bonkers and experimental. So, for example, like we got Isle of Dogs, which was, a little bonkers and out there, but Isle of Dogs was kind of like a follow-up to Fantastic Mr. Fox, which is definitely like his most digestible movie ever. So I think Isle of Dogs was more of a crowd pleaser. Then we got the French Dispatch, which was definitely like Wes Anderson at his most Wes Anderson. Then we got Asteroid City, which I very much think it has a lot of layers to it for sure, which is why I love it. But at the end of the day, it is pretty digestible. Now, I don't know. I think the Phoenician scheme is going to go back around to like, this is going to be a very multifaceted movie. Teddy says he's a one for me, one for them director. Yeah, I totally agree with you, Teddy. Totally. So what do you think, Dragon? Just with this trailer in general.
So, I find Wes Anderson is like a comfort. He's a nice, comfy director in terms of that's kind of the vibe I get when I see like the trailers for his movies. Where just like when I eventually see some of the movies that he does. Right, this is like a nice, cozy style. Everything's all boxed in and kind of pastel, and they have a bunch of familiar faces. Like basically, you get a sense the movie stars are having a great time, essentially playing theater with a camera.
Basically, yes.
And it's Del Toro. I think he's poised to impress in this movie. That's the vibe I get, and I really love that we have Desplat doing the score for this. That does like okay.
Desplat's Wes Anderson's like usual composer, so that's not really a surprise. But yeah, it's exciting.
Has he always been his composer?
More or less, I think.
I didn't know he was this guy. Okay.
At least since like the Royal Tenenbaums, if not before then.
I am excited seeing Cranston and Tom Hanks occupy the frame together. I got to be honest.
Right, they were both in Asteroid City, but they weren't in a scene together.
That's what I'm saying. Like having them act in the same scene together.
Yeah,
yes,
for sure.
Yes. All right, two of the greatest actors of our time, like in the same room.
Just to shout out a couple other comments here. Kogia says, I've seen 2 Wes Anderson films, Fantastic Mr. Fox and Moonrise Kingdom. Moonrise Kingdom is probably my number 2 after Asteroid City. I
don't think you like Asteroid City as much as you say you do.
You're just saying that because you think I have a recency.
I do think you have a recency bias. I think you do.
Okay, talk to me about that when we get to Sinners, all right? Sinners is the appropriate movie to have that conversation with.
That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying it's like everything. Almost all the time is recency bias. On and on. Right. This is the best thing ever. It's recontextualize everything I know about the medium, and then, I may have jumped the gun a little bit.
Okay, Dragon, did you hear that Bail Organo got recast, Oregano. Organa.
Yeah, no, I'm well aware, Tiki. That's
well, you know who Bail Organa is, right?
Yes.
He's Princess Leia's non-biological father.
I'm going to be talking about.
That comes from, folks. That's where that gag comes.
I'm going to be talking about that guy soon, where I can actually use that joke.
All right. Yeah, I believe that's it. Okay. Moving on, we have. And I'm glad you put this up here, Dragon, because I did see it advertised on Max when I've been watching The Last of Us, but I didn't really know if we wanted to include it. But I think it's worth a mention for sure. Mountainhead, which is the new film from the director of Succession, the writer-director of Succession.
Also the creator, isn't he the creator of Succession?
The creator, too, yes. And this is definitely got a powerhouse cast. It's got Steve Carell,
yes,
Steve Schwartzman,
yeah,
and our boy Corey Michael frickin' Smith, which is the main thing I'm excited about. I forget the name of the fourth one.
Rami Youssef.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So this looks like a lot of fun, and I like the idea of like a Succession-esque story that has the same kind of like sense of humor and sort of like roasting the elite, and kind of like a commentary on like corporate culture, but packed into a feature film. Like I like this. I think this is more exciting than if they were to just do like a Succession movie. You know what I mean? It's kind of in the same. It almost feels like it could take place in the Succession universe almost. But it's still, and yes, Corey Michael Smith is the actor that played the Riddler in Gotham. Yep. He also was fantastic. The best part of the movie Saturday Night Live is Chevy Chase. Easily the best part of that movie.
Yep.
So yeah, I assume Corey Michael Smith is a big part of why you're excited about this.
I mean, in part, in general, though, I mean, I like the formula if we do kind of like a bottle story with four
Mhm.
characters bouncing off of each other. I mean, I really liked One Night in Miami for that reason. So this is kind of like in a potentially similar vein, only with these kind of the upper crust vibe that our Succession creator, I'm sure, is going to infuse. They're basically 1%er problems in the Alps.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think Jason Schwartzman has been having a hell of a couple of years, man. That dude seems like he's in everything nowadays.
Oh yeah, I mean, he's also he's in a sense he's kind of the reason we're waiting so long for Spider-Man, because he's put everyone in such a bind cliffhanger wise.
True, true.
They're all just desperately, again, Jason Schwartzman. He's cornering the market on quality and expectation. Just like we have
God
Klaus.
damn it, Schwartzman! Why'd your villain have to turn out to be so cool in the end?
Now all the animation nerds, like myself, we're always talking about Schwartzman in one or two regards every year on an annual basis because of Klaus, and then Spider-Man, which seems like it's going to be on for years.
Sure. All right. So yeah, very excited about that. It's coming up pretty quickly. It also coming up quickly is Pee-wee as himself, which Dragon I'm stoked for.
Me too.
I'm very, very excited about this. For those who don't know, this is a documentary. It seems like Paul Rubens basically recorded interviews for this thing essentially as he was dying, Dragon. Because the vibe I get from this is that Paul Rubens is very self-aware that he's on his way out when he's doing these interviews.
This is probably one of the last things that he did for sure.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know, man. This is going to be yet another fucking documentary. Well, we already know that it's not going to be up for Oscars because they're doing that thing where they're splitting into two parts. Maybe they're doing it just to alleviate the pain of the Oscars inevitably snubbing it, even though it should deserve to be up for Best Documentary.
Well, it might not be the intention, but sure.
I mean, I have no doubt in my mind this thing's going to be amazing. I really don't. I really think this thing's going to be poignant as hell, man. I think we're looking at the next Won't You Be My Neighbor, frankly.
Quite possibly. I mean,
I know we've made some claims of like, this is the next Won't You Be My Neighbor? This is the next Won't You Be My Neighbor? I truly think this could be the successor to that documentary. I mean, this thing just looks powerful.
But yeah, so I mean, the HBO has done this kind of thing before. We've taken like the figure and we've broken up into two parts. Where we did this with, I believe we did with Carlin. The big comparison for this would be Gary Shandling. Where, and again, the reason they broke it up into two, and I suspect the reason they're doing it here is that we're basically breaking up the career in a very probably a very straightforward way. Where okay, part one's going to be the Pee Wee Herman stuff, and part two is going to be kind of the post like life. Again, it's all Paul. It's Pee Wee as himself, and again, I think the premise, if I were a betting man, would be Paul Rubens committed to that character for the majority of his life until things happened. And it'll be about like how a guy deals with that separation, where he builds a character that becomes everything. Then probably your cliffhanger moment is like, and then it all went away. And how does a guy rebuild himself after that, and then eventually find his way
no
back?
doubt the arrest has got it. That's got to be the cliffhanger.
Well, that's what I mean. That's probably the cliffhanger / entry point for for a second part. So I'm sold 8 ways to the Sunday on this, and I can't wait. Here's the one thing I wonder what they're gonna do. Okay, and mind you, if they're smart, I don't think it's going to be an issue. But I don't know. I have to wonder if we're going to be able to use the clips from Pee Wee's Big Holiday.
Oh yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I mean,
that's really important
because I think Pee Wee's Big Holiday, like nobody gives that movie enough credit for being the awesome Pee Wee Herman comeback that it was. Seriously.
So in a perfect world, we're going to be able to acknowledge that movie, which of course, to me, for us, that's a hugely important thing that Paul Rubens did. Mm-hmm. Now, my hope is that we're going to acknowledge it, but their way around it that I could see them very easily doing is, well, the stage show was the other way. He was bringing Pee Wee back, and that was just the movie version of that in a sense. Like he basically did like Pee Wee Herman's back on the stage, and then he did the movie. So they could just say, and he came back via the stage, and they can mention the movie, but they might not show it, maybe a poster of it, but they might not show clips and kind of really get into the nitty gritty of it. So I don't know. I hope
would at the very least like to see an interview from Joe Manganiello.
Oh, that'd be oh yes.
Like if we can't actually show clips, just show Joe talking about it.
Joe Manganiello.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's the he was. Oh, guys, I keep remembering him in the Pee Wee Herman suit, just saying "Me amo perfecto."
I mean, seriously, the bromance in that movie is genuinely like one of a bromance for the ages as far as cinema goes.
Oh yeah,
it really is.
God, I love that movie so much.
I would not be opposed to doing a retrospective on it. I mean, obviously, I know we talked about it like back in the day, but
yep.
I would not be opposed to spotlighting again.
Maybe. Well, technically, it came out in 2015.
There we go.
I'll double check that. I don't think it was 2016. I'm pretty sure it was 2015. So it's
Mm-hmm. All right. Okay. So that's it for the news.
Yep.
I want to say this is the quickest news that we've ever had.
Yeah. It's going to be the quickest memoirs we've ever had, let's be honest.
Yeah, it is a light memoirs. It is a light one. Okay. April 2025 movies. Start with Not Just a Goof. Dragon, you start us off with this one.
Phenomenal documentary. We need more of these kinds of docs. Shoulder to shoulder with the greats like Waking Sleeping Beauty. As far as the Disney documentaries go, I desperately wish this movie got a physical release because I just want to have it in case God knows what's going to happen in the world of streaming. I just want to have this. It's a wonderful tribute to a Goofy movie. I'm head over heels for how we showed, the basically how we how we showed that the shades of gray and kind of the dichotomous relationship with Jeffrey Katzenberg. That was my big takeaway of just like, wow.
I think Katzenberg in general just totally stole the show, especially like I absolutely adore the way they show him through caricature.
Yep. So this thing overall is very much a spirit, kind of like the Howard documentary. It's kind of a spiritual sequel or spin-off to Waking Sleeping Beauty. It's in many senses the word, and I really love that. So this thing was just it was a Valentine, man. This was delightful in all the right ways. This is and here's the important thing. It wasn't just like a nostalgia, like, hey, a Goofy movie's profitable. Let's talk a little about a Goofy movie.
No, definitely.
Farmer.
Yeah.
How do you feel about being Goofy? Nothing like that. This is about reflection and, it really shows the hoops and hurdles the movie went through in the era of the Disney Renaissance that we always glaze over because we're always focused on, again, per Waking Sleep Beauty, the 84 to 94 period. We never talk about what happened the year after because that's when Pixar rises to prominence. That's where Disney kind of falls by the wayside. That's when you have like Polka, what's her name? That's kind of when that happens.
Oh God.
So so it's really interesting. It's noteworthy to just kind of like look into that era of Disney that we barely talk about. Plus, like it's kind of like the Brave. For example, I would love a documentary about the Brave Little Toaster.
Oh, hell yeah. Now you're talking my language.
This is what I'm saying. Like, by the way, Brave Little Toaster, the one movie, I know there's a bunch of shows we can't get on Disney Plus, but like the one movie that is not on Disney Plus. They have the sequels, oddly, but not the original.
Oh, God, I know. That bothers me.
And it's because of the stupid, like, Hyperion, like, loophole, I guess, which is just really stupid to me.
I still maintain a Black Cauldron documentary would be really fascinating.
Well, of course, but still, Brave Little Toaster, I mean, that is there's like a ripple effect with that one, too. Like, we don't get Toy Story without Brave Little Toaster. It's very important.
And Brave Little Toaster is just infamous as far as, like, the childhood trauma.
Yeah.
Like, that might be the childhood trauma movie of the 80s.
I remember the voice of the Brave Little Toaster. They did this panel once for like as an anniversary panel for the Brave Little Toaster. Not a D23. This is way back. This is like a humble like, hey, we're going to a convention, like a roundabout, like my kind of convention. And they had everyone there, and basically the voice of the toaster, basically, she mentioned like soldiers would bring toasters for her to sign, who like went to combat and everything, just because they were they loved the movie. Which is it's great. Anyway, so that's what I'm saying. More, we show that I think in a really moving way,
I mean,
Goofy.
this is clearly like an independent production that Disney gave its blessing to. It's not like Disney propaganda.
Yeah, this is exactly, which is what we need more of. I always
Mhm.
argue this for all the Disney stuff that we, especially as far as the documentaries go. I want like I want to be able to get like a Sweatbox documentary, and Disney be good, be in good enough sport about it to like approve it. Like okay,
I
we'll
mean,
let
to
them
be
say it.
fair, I'm still like, I'll bring it up again. I'm still amazed that we got that Frozen 2 documentary, considering just how bad it made Disney
I mean,
look.
that's the thing. It means there is a chance if we can put something
Right,
like that, we
right.
can approve these things, and this is proof in the pudding that yes, we can do these things.
Hmm.
Especially with guys like Don Hahn in the world. Don Hahn will he'll go to bat for like the interesting story. He'll serve the artist.
If there's an interesting animation story to tell, Don Hahn will be there.
Yep. Anyway, so I think like the big, we celebrate the impact and the timelessness of the movie, but it's really at the end of the day, it's a story about how Goofy brought parents and children together, for decades. That's the real beauty of the story. It's kind of what's at the heart of this documentary. So it was a very strong watch. It was the highlight of the month.
All right, well said, well said. Okay. Next up for me. So Dragon, yeah, Sinners. I mean, Dragon, I assume you've at least heard the hype around this movie.
Well, I mean, I don't even need to hear about the hype. I mean, think about Michael B. Jordan. You have Ryan Coogler. We have it's like essentially a vampire movie or something, right?
I think the great thing about this movie is that for the first two-thirds of it, it's essentially a historical drama. And then it becomes a vampire movie, like in the last third. And the vampire stuff is great, but the real strength of this movie comes from that ensemble, comes from the fact that we really take the time to build up all these people in this community and what the people in the movie are going to be fighting for by the time the vampire stuff takes place. And the movie takes place over 24 hours too. So it's like, the vampires, they show up at night, which is, that makes sense for the vampires. Dragon, I think this movie is phenomenal. Like, I'm not gonna like go over the top with it like I did for Dune Part 2 last year, but it's clearly like for me, it's above and beyond the best movie of the year so far. It's just really cool to see something so original and fresh get so much attention, both critically. I mean, the critics love it, the audience loves it, it's killing it at the box office. Dragon, it dropped like 5% at the box office from week 1 to week 2. That never happens, especially for a horror movie. I mean, that is like historical right there.
Mm.
So, yeah, I mean, just excellent cast all around. Michael B. Jordan, Dragon, playing twins. This is the most convincing like actor playing a set of twins visual effects ever. I mean, it's like the effect is just absolutely seamless. You forget that Michael B. Jordan is playing both characters because both characters like stand out so much.
So better than the Social Network.
I would say it's the next evolution in the Social Network. I think the Social Network was like the best before this, and now this is like the new king of like the twin effects.
Hmm.
Oh god, Teddy says recency bias. Tiki at it again. Up top, Dragon.
He's
Me
at it
Dragon
again.
Let's see. Little Blue says, fun fact, Kugler stated that the character Death from Puss in Boots was the inspiration for the vampire.
No,
Yeah, I mean, I could see that a little bit, but what I love about the vampire, I mean, Dragon, there's so much in this movie.
I mean, look, Kugler has really good instincts, and he sees a good idea, he's going to use it. So
You know what vampire rule they use a lot that I really appreciated because I feel like this is an underrated rule with vampires?
Was it the garlic?
Well, no, but there is a really, really cool scene involving garlic. It's the rule that a vampire has to be invited
Ah,
in. Yeah, they use that like a lot. It becomes like a major plot point, and I love it. So just I mean, phenomenal performances across the board. Like Delroy Lindo absolutely crushes it in just a super memorable supporting role. There's one sequence in particular, Dragon. One sequence. It's about halfway through the movie It's a musical performance. I don't even want to get into the specifics of it because if I were to describe it to you, it would sound stupid. But it is, and anyone who's watching this who's seen the movie knows exactly what I'm talking about. It is like one of the most jaw-dropping sequences I've seen in a long time. I mean, it just floored me. It absolutely floored me. So I don't think this movie is like perfect. Like I do think it's a little messy. I think the ending, like the actual climax, not when the vampire stuff first starts, but like the wrap up of the vampire stuff is a little bit rushed. I think there is a little bit of a pacing issue layer. I do appreciate the slow burn, and I appreciate the fact that the characters are so well established, but at the same time, just because I like the main vampire so much, I kind of wish we would have gotten a little bit more of him. So, like, it's not a perfect movie, but I still think it's a 10 out of 10. Like, I still think just for what it is, it's going to go down as an instant classic. And Dragon, I think we absolutely should be covering it on, I mean, depending on the availability, either Haunted Holiday Hijinks or at the very least Black History Heroes next year. So, yeah, I mean, this movie is a moment, man. It's a cultural moment. All right, that's it.
Okay. All right, let's talk about The Accountant 2.
All right, did you see it or is it just me?
I saw it.
You saw it, okay.
Yeah.
Dragon, I'll let you start. What do you think of it?
I tell you what, I thought The Accountant 2 was a good time. I thought it was a very, I think it was very well timed, post, Daredevil Born Again for the Bernthal Love Fest.
Right.
That's going on, so I think they lucked out on that one. Look, here's the thing. If I had to stack it with the original, I mean, look, I haven't gone back to the original, but I've been meaning to, but I've been busy. So, I mean, I'm probably not as good like a standalone film as the original. I mean, it's a sequel, mind you, but I would say, just off the top of my head, I would say it's more entertaining than the original because it has the benefit of having Chris and Braxton paired together throughout the movie, which is the strength of the film, which you do not have the advantage of in the first movie. They play off each other so well. Bernthal, he stole the whole movie. He's that good. It's got great action. It's got fun comedy. I love the whole speed dating idea. Man, I always keep trying to work in the speed dating pitch. So actually seeing it open the movie, it was like, okay, this is great. This has my approval. The plot's okay, but I think it definitely. I think it's definitely it's thin, but in a self-aware way. Like they kind of know, okay, look, we really just, we want an excuse to have these two guys hang out and just, have some generic bad guys. We don't have time for a Lithgow this time.
Right.
But I love the world building. The world building of the Harbor Neuroscience Institute. So that's very cool and it's kind of the equivalent to the Continental for John Wick. So it's kind of neat. We kind of have like this hidden under your nose facility where there's a lot of really cool stuff going on. I think it's a shame that we kill off, and we knew this in the trailer. It's a shame that we kill off J.K. Simmons. But again, Bernthal compensates. He compensates for the lack of Simmons. So we kind of, I'm not going to say we just trade up, but it helps. It's a good time. Likely, there is likely going to be a third film, depending on how the box office goes. They have hopes for a third movie. I could see them doing it. We'll see. But even if this is it for them, I think they can go off on a high note with this.
Yeah, I have pretty much the exact same feelings on it. I mean, absolutely, the chemistry between Bernthal and Affleck is the highlight for sure. I like that Affleck's character is more openly autistic in this one than he was in the first one. I think in the first one, it was mostly just like a Rain Man, he's good at numbers sort of thing. And here it's like we definitely see more of like...
Well, he trained himself into... Remember, the whole point of the first one was we saw how well trained he was in like kind of blocking things out and everything.
No, I get that. But like here, it's like I like that we actually see him in social situations. I don't really like how the dance scene at the bar elevates. Like, I don't think it's really realistic that he could just like see the patterns in the dance moves and just be a pro at it all of a sudden.
Well, again, that's because he's like a highly trained operative.
Right. But I do think that moment where like the waitress is asking him for a song selection and he's just like, well, but I don't know. Maybe this song. Well,
Metallica.
Yeah, right. Like, okay, your pick. And then Berthel's like, what are you doing, man? She was clearly into you. Like, I can relate to that shit so much, Dragon. I can relate to that shit so much. You're right that the actual plot is like a big nothing burger. It's literally just an excuse to get the brothers to interact. I think the first movie has a more compelling plot because we're learning about Ben Affleck's character. We're unraveling the mystery of that.
Mm-hmm.
And frankly, Dragon, I don't know. I think where you and I do differ is that I call them the school of I'm sorry. The school of gifted autistic kids who secretly hack the world.
Yeah, well, that's essentially what it is. So what?
I'm not a big fan of that plot.
Why?
Because I feel like it leans too much into like the autism equals Rain Man side of things. I don't.
Okay, look, this is
I think it's a little bit of a step too far as like I like the fact that we're getting more realism in the autism representation with Ben Affleck just being like socially clueless. But then this just kind of swings it back to like the autism as a superpower sort of thing.
I could be wrong. I haven't rewatched the first movie. If I understood it correctly, Chris's character, he founded that institution though. Like he made that place. So that's why he basically did what he did for himself for them. So that's why it's not just purely Rain Man. It's like it's Rain Man for it's coming from somewhere. It's not just like everyone happens to be Rain Man. It's that he trained all these people. At least he trained somebody who then is training the kids.
Look, I don't think it's like harmful representation or anything. I just think it stretches the line of believability a bit.
You're saying the autistic cannot be computer literate.
Oh my God, no! I'm saying that the room full of autistic youngsters who secretly can hack the entire planet is a bit far-fetched. Kokias, I do think that The Accountant 2 does have some generally positive autism representation with Ben Affleck just in social situations that he's clearly in over his head with. I think it's very relatable. I think it's fun. It doesn't get played for just like, oh, look at the autistic person. It's actually played to be both funny and relatable. So yeah, I would call it good autism representation. I think both of the Accountant movies are like 7 out of 10s for different reasons. I think this is a 7 out of 10, elevated by the Bernthal chemistry, and the first one is a 7 out of 10, elevated by the mystery. So take that for what it's worth. They're both perfectly decent action movies, but aren't like classics of the genre by any means.
Yeah, you're not going to like this, but the I don't know how locked in it is, but they kind of joked like the third movie, if they did it, would be maybe like a road movie that has a little bit of Rain Man in it.
That has what? Sorry.
Rain Man. That basically would be like just
like the actual Dustin Hoffman character.
Well, no, not literally Rain Man, Tiki. No. No, I was saying there'd be a Rain Man. Basically, it would be like a road. If Rain Man were kind of like a road movie with those two characters.
I don't know. We'll see.
I don't know how much of that was like a joke by them or not. But I don't know like how locked in it is. But
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, so next I have Drop, and Drop is it's a perfectly fun little single location movie. Essentially, the premise is that this woman, she's on a date. She's on the first date since she had to gun down her abusive fucking husband in front of her son.
Oh yeah, I think I saw the trailer for this.
Which is a really dark detail. Does the trailer actually get into that element of it?
A little bit. I mean, they kind of showed it.
Because I just knew the basic premise of this thing. I was surprised. Like, it starts right away with she has to murder this guy. I mean, to be fair, like it was a self-defense thing, but but still, it's like a dark way to open a movie.
Yeah, I forgot that was this movie. Okay.
So, Dragon, I think the good thing about this movie is that when she's on the phone call, or not the phone call, but it's mostly through text as opposed to like something like Carry On, where it's Jason Bateman talking to the person. This is a lot like Carry On. I like this more than Carry On, but it's got similar kind of vibes to it. But I like that at the restaurant, there are plenty of red herrings. Like, honestly, there was a point in this movie where I was genuinely, like, really interested. Like, oh, it could be this guy because he's just kind of acting like a passive-aggressive dick towards her. It could be the waitress because, like, the waitress is getting, like, a little bit too overly involved with their conversations. It could be, it could even be the dopey waiter who's the dopiest waiter this side of the, that one waiter from Breaking Bad, Dragon. You know the one. Thad, I think.
I forget what his name was, but yeah. Well, wait. When you say, you said from Breaking Bad, you mean the guy who's like interrupting the confession?
Yes, that guy.
Oh yeah, something like that. But yeah, I know you're talking about.
Yeah. Like this waiter, by the way, he does steal the show because he's like, if you want that character from Breaking Bad in a full movie length role, this movie's got you covered, man, because it's basically that, and it's delightful. So like there are like a lot of suspects, and I do like the fact that like that where the texts are coming from is someone in the restaurant, and you're just trying to figure out who, and it does feel very claustrophobic. The problem is that once you realize what's actually going on, once you realize who the texts are coming from and why the guy wants this thing done, you just have to ask yourself, like, really, guy? There's not a more simple way that you could have gone about doing this? Like, the whole premise kind of falls apart a little bit because you're just like, wait, like, there must have been an easier way for this guy to go about what he's trying to do here than this, like, very, very roundabout thing that's going to require, like, a lot of different moving parts to go right, you know? So I wasn't crazy about the reveal in this movie, but I did have a lot of fun building up to the reveal. I wish the reveal would have landed more because I think I would have given this like a solid, honestly, maybe even an 8 out of 10 because I was having a lot of fun with it up until that point. The reveal knocks it down a couple points. I would say this is probably in like the 6.5 realm, but I would still, cautiously recommend it. I think it's good for a casual watch. I think I had a lot of fun with it. I just wish that the ending was stronger. All right.
Okay. Let me tell you about the Oklahoma City bombing, American Terror. Yeah, so this is a documentary on Netflix. Yeah, this is like one of the anniversary documentaries where it's the anniversary of, I believe it happened in '95, so this is like the 30-year marker for the Oklahoma City bombing. And it's this would be a horrible way of putting it. This is the rare sequel to a tragedy.
Oh my god! Wow.
But yeah,
9/11/2. Where are you at?
Oh, Tiki, that's not.
I'm sorry.
I'm saying it's like an actual sequel. Anyway, so yeah, I remember my big entry point to learning more about the Oklahoma City bombing was the biographical. They did the Waco series, which basically did Waco, and then there was a sequel series, Waco: The Aftermath, which is like essentially a season 2, and that basically the whole point of that is like the aftermath of Waco ends on the Oklahoma City bombing. That's kind of what the season 2 Waco is all about. Like they're looking into this, and no one's really taking them seriously. The whole the whole thing of the Oklahoma City bombing is that they thought it was like like a terrorist, like a foreign terrorist kind of a thing. In reality, it was homegrown. But everyone looking in the wrong place resulted in the tragedy. Now, mind you, this documentary it gets into it. I think it's more focused on the immediate being in the thick of the initial explosion, which I think opens very strongly in the way they do it. Like they have this really haunting thing where they open with some of the survivors. They one of them had a camera, so it was like they were going around the workplace and showing oh look, they're not mind you, this was not like they weren't filming while the thing happened, but I think either around the week of or something. So they give you a little lay of the land, oh, she had a video camera, we're kind of seeing the place in the calm. Then of course we have like these testimonials where they're talking about like some of the really hard decisions like the first responders had to make. So it was that was captivating. I will give you that. But then it just kind of, I don't know. I don't think we really built. I think it was just kind of thrown in there, just kind of some of the facts that happened in building to like, and we eventually caught the guy. So I think it kind of peters out after we have the really kind of gripping like this is like the explosion and like the rescue efforts.
Okay.
So that's very much so. I don't know if I'd recommend this more than I would like again with the combination of Waco and Waco the aftermath, but it's or even like the Waco documentary series that's on Netflix. But this was
I
fun.
watched one of the Waco series, right? I think I watched the first one that came out.
Well, let's see. Did you when you say the Waco series, do you mean like the show with actors, or do you mean like the docuseries?
No, the documentary.
Yeah, so you watched like 3 episodes on Netflix. I'm pretty sure you watched that. We talked about it. Yeah, that's good. So I would say all the Waco you need is pretty much just that and the show with Michael Shannon. That's the one you should watch. That was really good.
I mean, Michael Shannon is tempting. That's good.
Yeah,
That's good. I mean, he pretty much elevates anything he's in.
Yeah, there's a lot of familiar people in it too, like some Barry alumni, some Agent Carter alumni. Yep. Also Taylor Kitsch. Okay, anyway, so point being, I won't say it was a happy watch, but it was. I get some movies in there. It was of all the documentary movies to watch, it was like, well, this is timely.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. The Ballad of Wallace Island. This is like pretty much my dark horse of the year so far. Like, it's a very, very small little. I believe it's an Irish independent movie. It's
a
about
spinoff of Scott Pilgrim.
Yes. Yeah. No, I did have that thought go through my head with the title. I won't lie. So essentially, the premise of this is that there was a husband and wife folk duo who wrote songs together and made albums together in like the early 2000s, like a fictitious folk duo, and they broke up. They got divorced. The band broke up. The wife kind of resigned to not making music. The husband, the guy, he kind of went in a different direction with his music, making like corny, like electric, not folk music. But regardless, the guy who owns the titular Wallace Island, who has won the lottery, and so he owns, I don't know if he owns an island. He owns like property on the island. He owns beachfront property. He summons the guy from the folk band to play a show, and he listed the show as as the number of people in attendance as less than 100. Well, it turns out this guy is just a super fan, and he's the only person that's going to be in attendance. The less than 100 is basically just him. And also, what a surprise, ex-wife is there too. Ex-wife has also been invited. It's a reunion, except not one that was solicited. So it's kind of a very awkward encounter. Dragon, the thing I like about this movie so much is I think the folk music is wonderful. It's all original. There's a soundtrack album with 16 songs on it, and I think they're all bangers, honestly. This is truly it's the movie literally created a whole band soundscape, and I think that's just really impressive. I totally get the vibe that these two would have been a famous folk act in the 2000s, because the 2000s did kind of have a renaissance of folk with bands like M. Ward, Fleet Foxes. I could go on, but I would bore the tears out of you. I digress. This, of course, island settings. I mean, you know me, Dragon. Island settings are something that I've always. It's one of those cheat codes with me when it comes to getting to like a movie more. It's just got a very warm, welcoming atmosphere. It feels like a warm hug of a movie with just a little bit of drama and tension, but mostly just nice people doing nice things and singing nice music. It's very life affirming. I had a really, really good time with it. It's nothing it's not amazing cinema or a life-changing message or anything like that, but for what it is, I mean, I think that This is just like an excellent little indie dramedy that just happens to have a really, really, really awesome soundtrack to it that really elevates it. So definitely a highlight for me this month for sure. All right, and then Warfare. This is Alex Garland, and what he's basically doing here. Alex Garland, of course, has done Ex Machina in the past. He did Annihilation, Men, the movie Men that shows how evil men are, and then last year's Civil War, which might be my favorite of his so far. This year he does Warfare. And Warfare is about the Iraq war, like right after the invasion, like basically like right in the thick of it in the middle of the 2000s. It's a single location movie essentially where this group of soldiers, like they hole themselves up in an Iraqi residence and, someone gets the drop on them and it turns out that they were being led right into a trap. And all of a sudden, there's just all this gunfire like all around them, and they have to figure out how to get out and how to survive. Essentially, Dragon, this movie is very much trying to be Dunkirk because it's really trying to do the thing where like the characters don't matter. We don't really know a lot about the characters beyond some of their names. What matters is just the experience, the survival, how visceral the suspense is, the gunfire and everything. I do like certain elements of this. I love the sound design in it. There's a moment in particular where an IED goes off, an underground explosive device goes off. And the sound design is excellent because what happens is that you see like you hear the perspective of like 4 or 5 different people and the sound levels, that kind of like that tinny like ringing that you usually hear after an explosion from characters. The sound levels are like different for all the different characters, like because they were affected by this explosion in different ways. And that was probably the most effective scene in the movie, just showing that. I love the fact that much like Dunkirk with the Germans, you never really see the gunmen. You see like maybe little glimpses of them here and there, but they're never really highlighted as characters. They're never really like more than essentially a force of nature. That being said, this is no Dunkirk. I mean, obviously one of the big things Dunkirk has going for it that this doesn't is the Nolan framing device, the Nolan playing around with time thing. I really do think that does elevate Dunkirk a lot. It adds to the rewatchability factor a lot for me. This movie just doesn't have that. The first half of this movie is very clinical. It's very much just like military people saying military jargon, running drills, running security protocols, stuff like that. It's just very, very clinical and dry. Once the action gets going, it's genuinely like very harrowing. Like, I'm not going to say that this movie isn't effective at setting out what it tries to do, which is put you in the middle of a very, very chaotic situation. But I mean, Dunkirk did really succeed at, stripping away the human element and focusing on the visceral experience. But Dunkirk still had characters. Like, Dunkirk still had people that we cared about. We just didn't know that much about them, but we still cared about them. This one, I feel like, doesn't have that. This one, there isn't really any singular person here that I would call like a character. And I know that that's not what this movie's trying to do, but like at the end of the day, it just comes across as like very, very clinical and not much else. So I was going into this like really having some high expectations for it, especially because I did think that Alex Garland, like, I think he knocked it out of the park with Civil War. I don't think people give Civil War enough credit. I think people were looking for Civil War to be some big political allegory when it was really just kind of like about the nature of warfare and war journalism in particular. I don't really think that movie was trying to pick a side, and I honestly think it's kind of better for it. This movie is just like again, it's visceral. It's definitely like it definitely does what it sets out to do with the suspense, but there's just very, very little to latch onto outside of like, wow, this is certainly intense when the intense stuff is going down, but it's very surface level in that regard. So unfortunately I'm very mixed on it, which, I really want to like this movie a lot more than I do, and it's frustrating, Dragon. It is frustrating. All right, well that's the last of the movies, at least our new releases. Let's go into TV. So a couple weeks after the fact, Dragon, how are we feeling? Let's get a temperature check on our thoughts on Daredevil Born Again. How are you feeling?
So, Born Again, season 1. Well, again, was like my most highly anticipated MCU event, along with the Fantastic Four this year. Like those are the two biggies for me. So I was overall, I was very happy with it, but I still I hate that it couldn't have been fully retooled as they wanted to. That is like the big. It's like this is great, but you know, it's always the hesitation, and I've had that throughout our coverage of it. And that was like always the frustrating thing where you can see it's two visions kind of like fighting each other. And also, I didn't put this on the news, which in hindsight I could have because we had ample room for it, but I was going to save it for now. D'Onofrio had done some interviews. About they've been very open in doing the interviews for each episode of Born Again. So D'Onofrio, he shared some insight on something that's really disheartening to hear, unfortunately.
Oh no.
So Sony. So apparently, it's been confirmed by D'Onofrio as much, saying that he desperately wants to have Kingpin going up against Spider-Man, but there is a big problem. So it's like in the weird contract of like the rights for like between Sony and Marvel and Spider-Man. Essentially, the way it works is because Kingpin is technically a Spider-Man character. It was created by it was created for Spider-Man in the first place. Because of this, Kingpin cannot be on the big screen for Marvel Studios. He can't. Now, I don't know if that precludes him from Spider-Man, though. Which I mean, D'Onofrio for years has been saying he wants to be there with Spider-Man. Now, I don't know why would he say that if he knew Kingpin can't. I think what it means is that Kingpin can't be in other Marvel movies unless it's Spider-Man. I want to say that's what it is.
I mean, if he's going to be in anything, then Spider-Man is the one that we would want him to be.
Exactly. So I'm hoping I hope he's just not completely like breaking like the worst news ever that he can't be in the movies, period. I'm pretty sure it's like because he's a Spider-Man character, he can be in Spider-Man, but that means he can't be in any other MCU movies. Unfortunately, it goes the other way around, where Spider-Man cannot be on Daredevil Born Again. Unless some big legal miracles happen. Because like the weird rules that like for example, D'Onofrio Kingpin is going to be in a future season of Your Friend and Neighborhood Spider-Man. We are going to get that, but again, that's only because he can't appear in full length animation because then we're in Spider-Verse territory. He can be in like up to like 30 minutes of animation. A lot of really weird, dumb rules about the whole use.
Yeah, that whole Sony thing is just a real. It's just a real sticking point, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a wall. It's a wall sticking point for sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the point being, look, I do really like knowing at least that having a taste of what season 2 can be with episodes 1, 8, and 9. It gives us a taste, and I think it really also shows that the show was originally planned for like 18 episodes, like in a season when it was under the original show. And I think that shows that we can maybe condensed all the new stuff that we had to fill in for the lack of Netflix, which, getting Netflix in the picture is great, but unfortunately we have a lot of other stuff that still would have probably been good, but it got shortchanged. We'll never know how good it could have been. And now it's just kind of like we're sitting through it. We're sitting through the uncompleted like original vision for the far better stuff, and the far better stuff is few and far between. So that is the conflict. The conflict of Daredevil Born Again is it's almost there. Not quite there, but it's almost there. But the stuff that we're seeing is top tier when we get it. And, it just hurts that Kingpin's story gets shortchanged because of that switch, and Muse gets abbreviated, than it should have been. But again, when we're honoring like the parallels between Kingpin and Daredevil, which is what I live for. The color theory, it's there. Bullseye, it's chef's kiss. It's all great. We're taking some big chances. Admittedly, those big chances are because we are stuck with certain plot points that were from the original vision that we cannot change, but we are going to make them the best they can be.
Yeah.
You know, so it's frustrating. I will say this: we absolutely need the Defenders for season 2. Otherwise, we're going to have a lot of disappointed people based on the end of season 1.
Yeah, I mean, I will maintain that I do think that this is like the worst season of Daredevil, but like I don't say that in like a like it's not like far worse than season 2. I think when the highs hit in the season, they hit pretty good. Like, but season 2 is a mixed bag as well. But I think the highs of season 2 are frankly some of the biggest highs in all of the Marvel Netflix stuff. Like all the Punisher stuff in particular is just fucking incredible. And again, I will defend the hand stuff just on the basis that Scott Glenn is genuinely compelling, and we got the Elektra meme out of it. So I'll defend the hand stuff just for that reason. But I definitely think that Born Again is like a solid enough season of TV. Like I think it's better than something like a Moon Knight or, I don't know. It's not on the higher tier of the MCU shows though. I will say that. Like honestly, for as many problems as I had with something like Falcon and Winter Soldier, I think Falcon and Winter Soldier came together really well outside of a couple problems, mainly the villain. So like, I don't know, like it's still a little bit like, I do think that there was a question of quality in a lot of it, but I do think that the bank robbery episode, and I've made this point before, the bank robbery episode is the best example of like what Daredevil could be like integrated fully into the MCU proper. And then the last 2 episodes just felt like, okay, like now we're back on track. Like this is the Netflix Daredevil that we're used to. Like, let's go. Unfortunately, I just think a lot of stuff beyond those 3 episodes is a little bit messy. Like, I like the Muse subplot, but I think the Muse subplot ended a little bit too quickly. I think it kind of ended out of nowhere a little bit. Like, and I feel like that is kind of like the byproduct of, like having to essentially cram 2 visions of the show together. I don't know. I do love the oh God, I'm sorry. Michael Gandolfini, the Michael Gandolfini character.
Daniel Blake.
Yeah. I think that he is he's the one new character this season that genuinely feels like a fresh and worthy addition to this universe. Like even Cherry's fun. He's not that deep though. He's not complex.
Hey, he's the cherry on top, my friend.
He is.
Just imagine him sitting at Josie's bar with like a little ice cream sundae without the cherry. Like, don't need it.
I love that.
Just like he's like holding it up like in a toast to Matt when he walks in because he knows that Matt can see him. Everyone's like, looking, why are you toasting the blind? And he can't see you, jerk. And he's like, oh, I'm maybe.
I do love that moment with Josie and Cherry. It's one of Cherry's last moments of the season where he's just like, oh, I didn't notice he wasn't using his cane.
And he's asking Josie, do you have any ice cream? I need to make a pun.
Oh my God. All right. So yeah, overall, there's definitely some solid stuff there, especially the last 2 episodes. And I do really enjoy the bank robbery episode as well. But the other episodes kind of range from like pretty good to pretty mid. So overall, it's more of a mixed bag than I wanted it to be. But I'm still glad that it stuck to landing as well as it did, because that's really the important part. Let's just hope that season 2 kind of continues that momentum.
I suspect they will be able to.
Uh-huh. All right. Next up, okay, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man Season 1. You've been curious for a while what I think of this.
Yeah.
I like it a lot, Dragon. I really do. The thing I like the most about this, really, is, Dragon, I fucking adore how Ditko this thing is. Like, this
Yeah.
thing has Ditko written all over it, and I love it.
It's got a dash of Ramita in the style, but you're right. It's all it's
like
basically
everything
it's like
from the. You're right with Romita's style, but like everything from the artwork, the dialogue. I love how the episode titles are all like classic, like Spider-Man, like cover quotes. Like it's it's all so authentic, Dragon. This might be the single most authentic representation, not like beat for beat of like the plot of the 60s comics, but like the vibe of the 60s comics, you know? I gotta tell you, my favorite plot line, I really was pulled in by the Lonnie Lincoln stuff.
Oh yeah.
I was really, really compelled by that stuff. I will say I think the season does sag a little bit in the middle. I like the whole thing with all the C tier villains getting the tech from Doc Ock, like that to me like almost felt a little bit too much like the Mark Webb universe where all the tech's coming from Oscorp.
Okay, you got to admit though, the Scorpion fully realized was really cool.
Scorpion is cool, definitely. I mean,
just makes you wish it was like, well,
seeing a lot of these classic villains fully realized. Seeing Daredevil in animated form was really cool. You know. I was really compelled by Norman Osborn in the beginning. At the end of the day, I get that they're still building things with him, but I was a little bit disappointed that we don't really go full Goblin with him by the end.
Well, they're going to be. They've been approved for multiple seasons, Tiki. They're going to.
No, I get that. I think the Norman stuff started out in a really compelling way, but by the end of the season, I don't want to say it fizzled, but I kind of like. It didn't have as big of stakes as I thought it was going to develop into, if that makes sense. But regardless, I do really like it a lot. Oh God, I'm sorry, Dragon. Remind me the name of the friend character.
Oh yeah, you mean Nico?
Nico, yeah. I really, really like her. I like the tension between her and Harry Osborn. That's a fun dynamic. Obviously, I do like Coleman Domingo as Norman Osborn quite a bit. I think he has a great presence to him.
He's your boy adjacent.
I like as much as Otto Octavius. I don't really care for the fact that it felt like we were spinning our wheels just a little bit with like, and this villain's got Otto Octavius tech, and this villain's got Otto Octavius tech. I will say that this is absolutely the most comics accurate Otto Octavius that we've ever gotten.
Yeah.
Like, this is absolutely Otto Octavius straight from the comics. Like, it's great.
How wonderful was it when he was like taking out all those all the Accords kind of like soldiers there?
Yeah, definitely. Dragon, I can only hope that we get Otto Octavius dating Aunt May in the future.
Oh boy!
Because honestly, the age difference, it wouldn't be that weird now, you know?
Well, yeah.
Like, so I honestly, that is one of my favorite elements of like old school Spider-Man is that plot line.
You know, I love the 90s Spider-Man actually did reference the whole like he didn't actually date Aunt May, but they joked like, "Oh, I think the old lady's sweet on him."
Oh my god!
They referenced that like all the villains they were doing the Sinister Six thing, and they were like teasing Doc Ock. They're basically he's lying to Aunt May, but he's pretending to be an actual doctor, saying, "Oh, your nephew's going to be fine." He's like, "Oh, thank you, Dr. Octavius."
So yeah, I have some general nitpicks with this thing, but they're not more than nitpicks. And overall, I think this thing is pretty special, just as far as like if the Spider-Verse movies are celebrations of Spider-Man as a whole, like the broad spectrum of what Spider-Man could be as a character, I feel like this series is a celebration specifically of 60s Spider-Man. It's kind of like it's almost like the 60s Spider-Man cartoon fully realized with like a full animation budget, and we're not recycling animation or anything, and we're actually doing interesting stuff with the characters. And I'm all on board for it, Dragon. I'm on board for it. I'm excited for where this show's going to go in the future.
All right. Let's see. Let me tell you about Happy Face.
Well, do you want me to talk about Yellow Jackets? Because you have Yellow Jackets listed first and then Happy Face. I mean, you can do Happy Face if you want.
No, just tell them about Yellow Jackets.
Okay, I'm sorry. Stick it to the list.
No, yep, just
Okay, so yeah, Yellow Jackets. You know what this is? It's essentially female Lord of the Flies meets Lost. Oh boy, Dragon. I honestly, I'm still gonna keep watching the show, but season 3 was a challenge for me, specifically in the adult storyline. I still think that the teen storyline in the wilderness is very compelling. We have the main character Shauna, who's played by Melanie Linsky in the present storyline, and by all means, Melanie Linsky is the MVP of the present storyline. But Shauna essentially becomes the full-fledged villain of the teen timeline by the end of the season, whereas in the first season she was the most sympathetic one. Like, she was basically just our main character. So it's really cool to see that progression. There were definitely some big mysteries that have been floating around since season 1 that the finale answered, in my opinion, in a pretty satisfying way. There's one cliffhanger towards the end of the season that just had my jaw on the floor, that just gave me like deja vu of the best Lost cliffhangers, like the Lost cliffhangers that I would just think about for months after the fact. Unfortunately, Dragon, most all that stuff is in the teen timeline. Most all of the good stuff this season is in the teen timeline. The adult timeline is a fucking mess. The adult timeline, frankly, Dragon, has turned into a CW murder mystery show. It's turned into, like a Pretty Little Liars or a How to Get Away with Murder. Like, I don't know. They kill off one of the most important adult characters, the adult character that basically the entire second season revolved around. They kill her off very unceremoniously. They have this whole murder mystery surrounding her. The murder mystery is like super obvious. It's basically swept under the rug by the end of the finale. It's underwhelming, and frankly, we kill another Yellow Jacket. We're down to Christina Ricci's character, Melanie Linsky's character, and then Thaisa Turner, adult Thaisa Turner. I think those are the only 3 that are left, and that's fucking crazy. I think this season, the adult timeline just had a real problem with doing the shocking murder and shocking twists just for the sake of a shocking twist. And it's I think there's easily 2 seasons of storyline for the past timeline stuff, but frankly, I don't know how we're going to stretch 2 seasons out of the present day stuff. I think the present day stuff is just going way off the rails. So I'm still going to watch this show, but I'm going to have next to no interest in the present day storyline. I still am very invested in the flashback stuff. I think if anything, this is maybe the best season we've gotten yet of the flashback stuff, just because, like I said, Shauna's ascent into full-blown villain when she was just ultimately the protagonist of the first season and became kind of a morally gray character in the second season. Now she's descended into full-blown villainy. That's a really compelling arc, and I'm really excited to see where we go with it. But yeah, the adult timeline, man, it just makes me wish that the show, frankly, I don't think the show ever needed the adult timeline, honestly, or maybe just, I don't know. Yeah, it's a very frustrating season because I think it's got simultaneously some of the best and worst story beats of Yellow Jackets so far. But still, I'm satisfied at least with. I think the flashback stuff is genuinely some of the best flashback stuff we've gotten. So a worthy season, but just barely. And it's getting to the point where I don't know, man. I might just when the adult timeline stuff comes up, I might be fucking on my phone during those sections in the future because it really isn't doing much for me. All right. Okay, so yeah, Dragon, now tell us about Happy Days.
Yeah, so this is really good. This is based on a true crime podcast. It's it's kind of a, again, it's not a I don't know if I'd say biopic because it's inspired by true events. It's kind of made into like a compelling miniseries. So I never really looked into the original case. So I don't know how accurate it is, but it sounds like the baseline, the inspiration is from real life. I don't know if like our plot is maybe so okay, so essentially the genesis is
It's like historical fiction, then basically.
I'm not sure. That's the thing. I don't know. They're definitely. Let me give you this. At the end of the season, at the end of the end, it feels like a one and done miniseries, but there is kind of like a dot 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 at the end. The dot 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 feels like we're interestingly going to maybe propel into, if there were a season two, then we'd be getting to the fabricated territory. So
Mm-hmm.
it is entirely possible the stuff that we see in this miniseries, in season one or what have you, is an adaptation of what happened, but maybe we have like a B plot with a daughter. It feels like maybe the daughter plot line could have been thrown in there, that kind of stuff.
Sure, sure.
Essentially, there's the happy face killer was a guy named Keith Jesperson, who's played by Dennis Quaid in this. And
A
the
real
big
life villain.
all right.
I'm just saying.
I don't know anything about the guy. I don't really, the point being, I love his son. That's all I know about him. I love his son.
His son is having a great year.
Yeah,
I'll give him that.
son's a nice young man. He's an upstanding young man, that Jack Quaid. We love Jack Quaid here.
Uh-huh.
We think he's super. Aside from that, so Anna, here's the big standout, though, okay? Feelings as you may have, and again, maybe appropriately cast, not my call. Anna Lee Ashford. She is. I've seen her in things. She had a supporting role in Masters of Sex. She's. She had the show with Thomas Middleditch for a while. She gets a starring role for a change. She's always had talent. And seeing her really in the starring role is great. So she's the lead. The idea is that it's kind of it's a little like the show Prodigal Son, but not played. I can't say Prodigal Son is a drama, so I can't say it's played for laughs, but it's not nearly as entertaining in the
Yeah.
sense of like a lighthearted entertainment. So the idea is, Prodigal Son is kind of like a Hannibal Lecter situation where it's the son needs his father, who is the Hannibal Lecter. In this case, again, based on real life, you had somebody who got wrapped up in the world of true crime because her father is a serial killer. It's not like it's revealed to be a serial killer. She basically knew her father was a serial killer, and after his capture, and basically, is basically kind of like tried, kind of keeping that a bit of a secret, not telling anyone, and then he basically one day to soak up the spotlight, Jesperson, he calls in saying, "Oh yeah, hey, listen, there's another body. I'm going to tell you who it is," and basically inserts himself back into her life to a point, mainly so we can get attention and get like the fame of like, oh, it's another body. I'm relevant again, even if it's going to torture his poor daughter and throw her into the limelight when she doesn't want to be. So that's what's interesting about the show. You have this really nice. She's just a humble makeup girl for like a talk show.
Mm-hmm.
And then this guy just kind of like, he comes back into her life. He calls like her boss at the station, basically says like, I will tell you all the details, but it needs to be through her. And then basically she has to confess like, yeah, he's my father.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the big draw of the show is that, you get to see like the real world consequence of like if someone's parent were a serial killer. They didn't like condone what they did, obviously, but they have to live with the consequences, and this like secret being really blowing up their life. And like the weird gray situation that is, where there's a guilt, but again, you didn't do anything. But then it's like, well, I mean, could you have stopped it? Well, she was like a teenager, at the time of his arrest. So what could she really have done? And then there's like the whole, when the family finds out, the daughter wants to know about her grandpa, but it's like a family secret, so that's going to cause some conflict. So I thought it was really good, really well done. It's like 8 episodes, so in the short form, I think it was. We didn't really waste anything. We weren't spinning our wheels. I mean, daughter plot line's okay, mainly, and how the idea is like the grandfather is building a relationship in order to groom her. Just in order to like get her on his side, so he can basically manipulate her.
Uh-huh.
And she's doing this in secret of the parents, and like the big thing is like the marital strife that's going on. I know you, Tiki. Occasionally, you really love marital strife.
I mean, if it's done really well,
That's
like
what
Invincible.
that's what I mean. So I obviously Invincible is the standard. I don't know if this
Yeah.
reaches the Invincible heights, but I think it's in tune with that, where it's a very
I mean, I wouldn't
understandable.
say that like marital strife is something that like if I hear a movie has marital strife, I'm like, oh fuck yeah, I'm in.
Well, a Marriage Story.
I mean, Dragon, A Marriage Story, like I appreciated that movie at the time for performances. That movie has not marinated in my head at all.
Recency bias. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. That is a good example of it.
Okay, anyway, I think this one will grab you because it's the idea of like the having an in-law who is a serial killer really wreaks havoc on this poor guy's life. Where like crazy people are coming to the house now, and like as he finds out his daughter is like not calling him and calling calling her serial killer grandfather, and like he's not getting promotions at work because like all this is in the news. It's like that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
So it ends. Also, we have some Bates Motel alumni. We have Tiki as a kind of a key character in the show. Nick Ford makes his
Oh no!
triumphant
Oh
return.
no! Really?
Yes.
Out of all the Bates Motel alumni, I would not have guessed him.
There are two Bates Motel alumni. So he's the prominent one, and we have Norman's psychiatrist from the later seasons of Bates Motel. He is basically we're trying the whole reason yeah, the Melissa character, the daughter character, is getting back into this world and like getting involved in the world of true crime. It's in the efforts of getting a guy who basically Jesperson is claiming that he committed a murder that this other guy who's seemingly very innocent is on death row for, and his time's running out. So that's why she's getting involved. And the guy on death row is I'm blanking on his name because I want to say Dr. Greg, but I don't want to say that because Dr. Greg is in this show, and that's not him. Damon Gumpton is the actor. So Damon Gumpton, who was Norman Bates' psychiatrist, who we eventually reveal is kind of imagined as well. But no, I'm just saying in Bates Motel. But anyway, the show ends very strongly. It has a really intimate scene between father and daughter. I'll say that much. It's worth a watch, but maybe definitely not as worth a watch right now as The Studio, which I've recommended to you. But
You know me in The Studio. I'm just waiting for the season to wrap up.
Sure.
All right.
Anyway, yeah. So I'd strongly recommend it. It's okay. It's a good watch. It was compelling.
Mm-hmm. All right, so White Lotus. That's right. It's the third season of the anthology Eat the Rich murder mystery parody, written and directed by Ned Schneebly himself, Mike White. Dragon, it's interesting because like this is definitely the darkest season of the White Lotus we've had so far. Like, I don't want to give away anything, obviously, but the ending of this season is definitely more like the killings in the first two seasons. Like every season of the White Lotus starts with somebody dying, but we don't know who it is. Like we see the body being discovered, but we don't see the actual body. This season starts with essentially like we hear an active shooter situation going on, but we don't know like who's involved with it. We just hear it from a distance, and then it flashes back. We see how we get to that point. So the two deaths in seasons 1 and 2, like we definitely like the characters that go out for sure, but they die in like really farcical, kind of over the top, silly ways. Not the case here. Not the case here. The death in this season is handled very, very straight, very dramatically, and I think people kind of were thrown off by it. I think what I do like about this season, though, is I love the location, honestly. The location is Thailand. The first season was Hawaii. The second season was Italy. I think Florence, Italy, I want to say, something like that. It all takes place in luxury hotels, so every season kind of explores like the dichotomy of like the luxury tourist trap, essentially like rich Disneyland in the form of the resorts versus like the local culture, the conflict there, how how the resort is exploiting the local culture for for labor, stuff like that. I do really love the location. We get some great stuff with Buddhist philosophy. Um, I think the person who steals the show here is oh god. God damn it. Hold on, Dragon. I'm sorry. There's a couple people to point out. For some reason I'm blanking on the actress's name. But I'll also shout out Patrick Schwarzenegger, Dragon. Patrick Schwarzenegger, he starts out this season as basically like your average like frat bro douchebag character. He's just obsessed with being successful and getting the ladies and stuff. He has an arc this season where he becomes the most sympathetic character in the whole cast. And I was really impressed by his ability to do that, to go from the most unlikable person in the cast to the most likable person in the cast. Very, very impressive on Patrick Schwarzenegger's part. But the actress I wanted to highlight was Parker Posey, Dragon. Parker Posey plays this character, Victoria Radcliffe. And she talks like this, Dragon. She has this really, really deep accent. She always talks about lorazepam, which I feel called out on because I take lorazepam. But Tim, I can't sleep without my lorazepam. Basically, the character is just like the ultimate kind of like, she's so used to being rich and elite that like she could not imagine her life any other way. Like she is like just so over the top pampered. I don't know, like that whole family storyline, because basically the storyline with that family is that there's like two sons, including Patrick Schwarzenegger, and a daughter, and the daughter wants to learn about Buddhism, which is why they're there in the first place. But the father, Dragon, the father played by Jason Isaac, freaking Lucius Malfoy from the Harry Potter movies, who's playing like this Southern guy, which I thought was really funny. The father is essentially, Dragon, he's essentially being audited for tax fraud. And his company, while he is on vacation, is going up in flames. And he knows that once he gets back to the States, he will probably be arrested on the spot. He knows that his family's wealth is going to go down the toilet. And so the performance that Jason Isaac gives, like, he is just so racked with anxiety the whole damn time, and you are just with him, man. You feel it. You really feel it. I think it's by far the most compelling plot line in the season. Unfortunately, I think a lot of the other plots are just okay. There's this storyline with three women who have been friends since like middle school, and they are like very catty towards each other. The storyline is basically just like whenever one of them is not in the room, the other two will be talking shit about the person that's not in the room, and just kind of like how that tension escalates. Ultimately, while I feel like the performances were good there, Carrie Coon, who I love from The Leftovers, she delivers a highlight performance from that group. But ultimately, I didn't really feel like that storyline went anywhere. Walton Goggins is here, and he's great as always. He plays kind of like a wayward con artist who's on a revenge mission, and he's great. He's great. He also hooks up with Sam Neill for a couple episodes, or I'm sorry, not Sam Neill. That would be weird. Sam Rockwell for a couple episodes. Yeah, so there's a lot of moving parts. I will say, I still think season 1 is my overall favorite season because I love the Hawaii vibes. I love the message there. Steve Zahn was a really big standout from season 1 as far as the cast. I do like this season a little bit more than season 2, though, and I think part of that is that season 2 was very focused on sex. Like sex was like the main theme of the season, according to Mike White. Season 3's main theme is spirituality, which I can get behind and attach myself to a lot more. So I definitely like season 3 more than season 2. I think season 1 is still the best. Dragon, I still think you would enjoy the show. I really think you'd like it. I think it's got a really good mix of like, it's a good murder mystery, it's a good satire. There's enough drama to make it interesting. I don't know. I have fun with all three of these seasons, and I'm looking forward to. I'm basically down for whatever ride Mike White wants to send me on with the White Lotus at this point. I'm pretty much in for the ride, no matter what he has in store. So yeah. All right. And with that, Dragon, we have reached the end of our show. It's time for catch up. What do you got?
All right. Mystery movie. Numero uno. Conclave.
All right. I liked this movie. I didn't really love it.
So, I mean, I felt it was a timely watch.
Well, yeah, of course.
So, I've been meaning to get to it. I felt like, well, if there's any time to watch it.
If there was one celebrity death this month, that was probably it.
Yeah. But, it's more of like, You
weren't in the movies, Pope. You don't count.
Yeah, well, there's two popes, but it's not that guy, so,
Oh, God.
That's what I'm saying. Ultimately, it's the fact that, it's more a title than as a man. So
right, really... yeah.
Anyway, so I love a lot of our actors in this course. Ray Fiennes, Stanley Tucci, John Lithgow. The trifecta. Right
I wish
there.
John Lithgow had more to do. I think he's good the times he is on screen. I just don't think he's on screen that much. I love Tucci, and I think Ray Fiennes is kind of the heart of the movie.
Oh, absolutely. Of course, I love that Lithgow has kind of the menacingness to him.
He does.
It's a little bit of that Trinity going on. There's just a hair of it. I thought it was interesting seeing the behind the scenes that goes into a Pope election, because in our culture we've always been on the outside peripheries. Like, okay, wait, did they? What color is the smoke? That's pretty much it. That's as much as we know. We learn in school and everything. Okay, they make a decision. They blow some smoke, and we have a new guy riding around in a little Pope mobile. That's essentially it. I love Ray Fiennes in this, not wanting to be the Pope. It's like Cardinal, or I guess Dean Lawrence. It seems it's his duty. I mean, it seems like it'd be a job that's perfect for him, but again, he's honor bound. Look, I don't want this responsibility. I'm kind of on the fringes of it. I just want to do my job and get out of here. And just everything that can go wrong kind of is going wrong. Or it kind of turns into this religious thriller of sorts within all the bureaucracy involved, and very much they all sit around.
I've heard people basically describe it as like Succession with Catholicism.
I mean, it's not an inaccurate way.
No, it's really not.
It's kind of like the last season of Succession, only gone biblical.
Right.
But it's I think it's nice and simple. It's got some good acting there. Again, Lithgow, he still has it, just being able to disarm people, being this very nice guy, and then of course there's something he's hiding there, and he's very much the scene where he is caught and he is just in utter denial is great. It's gold, in which we have the nun call him out.
Mm-hmm.
Love that. I love the tension and distrust amongst the Cardinals. I like that, and I think one of my favorite moments was when Dean Lawrence he basically has to dash the hopes and dreams of one of the Cardinals, who basically was up for the election of Pope, and he was in the running for it, and basically, will you pray with me? Of course. It's just really nice. I do question. There's one thing in the movie I do question.
Is it the ending?
No.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it ends a little abruptly, but it's not really it's kind of.
Well, I'm saying the ending reveal.
Well, that's not my main point here. My main thing is they mentioned a medical thing I really don't like, but the thing that led to the reveal. It's like, why could, of all the things they could have used to explain that reveal, why couldn't they have gone for any other medical procedure? I think any other.
Right.
That's just my own hangups. Regardless, the car bomb moment, while cool, it does really.
It doesn't really feel like it fits the vibe of the rest of the movie.
It really doesn't. It just feels like is not. Look, this is going to sound blasphemous, I know, but it's a question of because the elections take so long anyway. It's right now we're kind of going through it. I guess I don't know if we picked the guy yet. I don't think we did. it's like, is not having a pope really that chaotic? Like, are we really like, are people gonna blow themselves up over not having a
Right,
pope?
right.
Is it that? Look, I know eventually we have to find a person, but it's like, is it that big a deal? Like that immediate a deal?
Apparently.
Yeah. So they take things seriously at Vatican City. We don't have a guy wearing a big hat. We're gonna blow things up.
Right, right.
I mean, the ending reveal. I mean, it was interesting. I mean, it's not. I don't know quite how to feel about it. It just feels like revealed like. Well, of course he's going to accept it. He's an open mind. The whole point is like he's the open-minded direction he wants to take the church in. And I mean, if anything, Tucci also would have been on board with it too.
Sure, sure.
So I mean, it doesn't. It feels kind of like, okay, there's a twist. It feels a little bit like it was thrown in to be relevant, a little bit. It just feels like, okay, and like the future, like the hopeful future of all encompassing religion. And we ousted the guy who was very anti, kind of let's just say the LGBT crowd. He was very anti that, and he was the first one we kind of ousted. So I don't know.
All right.
Yeah, so it was look, it was good. I don't know if I'd rewatch it again, but I mean, it was I think it was being thrown with all the other nominees, with the Oscars. Like, okay, Conclave, yeah, good, pretty solid choice.
Sure, sure. All right. Fair enough. Okay, well, I mean, you basically know my opinions on the two movies I had for catch-up because I really didn't get a chance to watch much beyond the Jim Carrey stuff that we watched. Neither of which I had seen. So the first one being Liar Liar Dragon, and this one, man, I gotta tell you, man, I was missing out. Like this is quintessential Jim Carrey, and I'm not like, there are some Jim Carrey movies where I look at them, I'm just like, okay, like I can see why it was popular in its time, but like I kind of feel like it's a little bit dated. But no, not this one though. Not this one. I think this one very much so, like more so than even some of his like more iconic high concept stuff like The Mask or Ace Ventura, certainly Ace Ventura. I mean, I just think this holds up so well. I really think that this just has such an air of just again, I love the pen scene. The pen scene is just awesome. I just the oh god, the magical realism, the Dragon, there's a phrase that we used to use, and I feel stupid. I'm not thinking of it. Help me out here. Illogical logic. Illogical logic. Yeah. This movie's full of illogical logic, and it's great. I think there's just enough heart in the movie to where it's like you definitely get pulled in the feels, but it doesn't really feel sappy in any way, which I think is kind of a tightrope to walk there. So I'm definitely glad that I saw this finally. It was kind of a big thing to mark off of my Jim Carrey resume.
Yeah.
All right,
Mr. Movie numero dos. A Different Man.
Oh, okay, big one. All right.
Yeah, see what I did there? Made you like, okay, he's just gonna pick small movies.
It's like, I don't really like Conclave. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, I've been meaning to get to this for a while. See, I was impressed with the movie, but it definitely feels that I think as the movie went on, it definitely feels like we we indulged in the A24 route of it all by the end.
A little bit, yeah.
So I mean, I love the premise. The premise is rock solid. Just the of course, Sebastian Stan. He's excellent in the role of Edward. And the the makeup is flawless, especially in Differentiate.
I just love how like palatably uncomfortable Sebastian Stan is, man.
Well, yeah. I mean, I love how we differentiate the makeup from the mask. I love it's. I don't know. I just love like the distinction there. It feels so real and visceral. And then you're right though. I mean, the acting is what really sells it. So it's not just like him in makeup. It's like that's the thing where you have him in makeup and then him.
No, honestly, I think he's more uncomfortable when he's not in the makeup, and I think that's what makes it a really, really compelling performance.
But think about how layered this is, Tiki. Where again, with that discomfort, he is then putting on the mask, which is like going back to a realm of comfort, but it's still unnatural to him. Like it's like a phantom limb syndrome on your face, you know?
Exactly. That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
So I mean, I loved all that. Now here's where I come. Here's the weird thing I have with the movie. So after Act One, I think Act One best part of the movie, like just the whole essentially kind of our flowers for Algernon premise of it all. You know, it's kind of like the he's after Act One he fakes his death. We go in a very interesting direction. I'm like, I'm on board for him. I'm saying, okay, let's see where we go with this. And obviously, it goes in the interesting direction of a play being made about him. But it's just that I feel ultimately they wrote themselves kind of in a really depressing corner. Now, mind you, not every movie has to end sunshine and rainbows. I understand that. It's just it feels like we punish somebody.
It's maybe like a little bit too mean spirited.
That's the thing. Like I'm on this weird tightrope where it feels mean spirited, but by the same token, though, I mean, it's kind of. I'm a little lost in the moral because they are so disproportionate with how mean spirited they might be acting right now. In which it's like we punish someone for all because he just doesn't accept himself. That's the only reason we punish this guy, and that feels a little disproportionate to me. He doesn't really do anything wrong, I mean, obviously,
but I will say, as someone who lives with crippling insecurity, like that insecurity has like got me fucked over a lot of times,
And Tiki, that's the weird enigma that I like. That's the conflict I have right now, in which a part of me feels like it's like we're just unrelenting in how much we're putting this guy through. But by the same token, though, it's that life is hard, and if you have like an affliction like that, or again, mind you, the affliction is kind of like it's kind of a placeholder for any number of things that people could have that would make them feel like this guy feels, for any number of things you're dealing with, or like just or the crippling social anxiety, stuff like that, and just. But again, so I can't really fault it because again, the idea is there's no solution to that. So that's why we put him through that. I don't know. It's just kind of this weird thing where it's like, and there's nothing wrong with it, with what we do there. It just feels like a part of me is the audience member, and this is intentional. It's feeling like he never reveals that, the truth to anybody. But that's kind of why it's interesting. He doesn't reveal the truth to anybody, It's kind of like a hanging chad we never do anything with, and it just feels like me as the viewers, like, this is really, we're doing a disjustice to this poor guy.
Sure.
But we're kind of supposed to. And then the idea that, again, we have and here's ultimately the only, I think, maybe actual flaw I have with it, where, we have the great jealousy thing with, the man, the other character, the real life actor who has like kind of the Elephant Man syndrome with.
And I mean, just that is such a good performance, though, right?
Yeah, no, it's great.
Yeah,
it's great. I think it's just a wonderfully heady idea in the movie that we're going to have an actor who's going to sell you on having this, the facial dysmorphia, and then we're going to bring in the other actor you've seen before who actually has that.
Exactly.
And he's insanely jealous of this guy, again, having accepted himself is doing so well. So it's just the insane, almost Salieri, like Amadeus like relationship he has with this character. Like, that's great. And here's the problem I have is what happens right at the tail end here, where not the very end, but just kind of in like the last, like, say 15 minutes or so. And that as we get deeper and deeper, we push Edward more and more. The moment he has the complete break is where I'm starting to, I think the believability kind of goes out the window, where we have a tragedy, and then it's like, it just gets harder to believe, in which, like, okay, so he's going to have a meltdown in which he's going to wear the mask to, like, to sell houses, and it's not going well. It's like that from that, like, he's basically pretending to be the guy who supplanted him, which is heady, but it's like, I don't know. It's a bit of a leap. And then going the places we go with it, where then, like, it happens on stage and we have this really sad, tragic, karmic thing happen. And then we just kind of go from there. Like, it's just the believability. We just keep pushing it. It's like a question of, like, how far can we possibly push the tragedy here?
Sure. Yeah,
so it just feels like, and I've seen A24 do this before, like with the Dream scenario to a degree, where it's like, so we're going out of our way to be as memorable as possible, make people like, oh man, wasn't that effed up what A24 did at the end of that movie, or like how that movie, the turn in that movie is like, oh yeah.
Dragon, really I will say that generally speaking, like, this is definitely one of the better A24 movies to come out of 2024, but like, 2024 was not, ironically enough, considering it's in its namesake, 2024 was not E24's year.
Yeah. For sure. But yeah, you know what I mean. It's like there feels like they were going for memorability versus like serving the character in the story, maybe. And I can't really say they did anything wrong. It's kind of this weird feeling I have. It's like a hesitation more than it's like a problem.
Sure.
Yeah, that's the sound of boredom, kids.
No, dude, it's the sound of me nursing a migraine all day. All right.
Okay.
Okay. So next up, me, myself, and Irene. Yeah, the delivery there is a little in joke about the story that I don't want to tell on air.
Well.
Okay. So Dragon, as you know, the second that I saw Rex Allen Jr.'s name in the credits, I just this instantly like elevated for me. And like beyond the Rex Allen Jr. thing, which I definitely think gives the movie a very unique kind of feel and identity apart from the other Farley Brothers movies, in spite of the fact that it's just as crude as those movies. I think the big thing this movie has going for it is the fact that the Jim Carrey performance here is, like, from a comedic point of view, genuinely really impressive. Like, I think this is one of his most physical roles that he's ever done. The fact that he is technically kind of taking on two characters, and the characters are very distinct from each other, and I think he does a good job, like, differentiating the two of them. That's really impressive. And Dragon, obviously, you and I, like, we love the sons in this movie. We love Jim Carrey's boys. We love the love that family has for each other, you know, like very much a highlight of the movie for sure. Unfortunately, it's kind of the rest of the movie that kind of gets lost in the shuffle. Like, I think Renee Zellweger's okay, but I honestly don't really think that her chemistry with Jim Carrey was that great. Like, I mean, I know you said that they started dating because of the chemistry, like, but I mean, it's fine. I feel like there is definitely a little bit of an age difference there that's a little wonky. I mean, that's not the end of the world, you know, they're consenting adults, but whatever. I guess my problem with the age difference thing is the fact that, like, his sons feel like the characters' sons feel more like they're around Renee Zellweger's age. Does that make sense? That's kind of the disconnect I have with the age gap between the two of them.
I don't know about that. Like, we're saying, like, we're saying they're college students, so I don't know.
Yeah, right. All right. Obviously, the plot of this movie is a little bit of a mess. It definitely needs work. But I mean, I think it's a really unique kind of dark horse in the Jim Carrey pantheon. I kind of feel like back in the day, that dark horse was the Cable Guy. I feel like in recent years, the Cable Guy has gotten kind of the pop culture reevaluation that it deserves. I kind of feel like myself, and Irene is sort of due for a reevaluation, because I do think that this is a good time, at least in the showcasing Jim Carrey's talents. Like, it's not the best Jim Carrey movie from, you know, a memorability point of view, or like, you know, a plot point of view, but I do think it's fun, and some of the bits are very memorable. All the stuff with the sons are very memorable. The cow bit is maybe one of the funniest Jim Carrey bits ever in any of his movies, honestly. So there's a lot of stuff to like about this, but there is a lot of messy stuff too that's kind of holding it back. All right, and that will do it, Dragon. One last question. Best and worst.
All right, let's see. Okay, best, not just a goof. Worst, I mean, well, this is gonna sound really petty, but I mean, it's like, I mean, comparatively the worst. I mean, nothing wrong with it, but I mean, the Oklahoma City bombing is, you know, it's I guess the least impressive.
I mean, yeah, I feel like I have a similar worst. Yeah, for me, obviously, best is Sinners. I mean, Not Just a Goof is great. Not Just a Goof is probably going to be one of the most rewatchable movies of this year for me. I'll give it that much. Worst for me is definitely Warfare, but again, much like you're saying about the Oklahoma bomber thing, like not necessarily a bad movie by any means, just very, very clinical, not exactly what I was wanting, but I could see what the director was going for. And like, I love Dunkirk, and Dunkirk is going for a very similar kind of vibe. So it's like, I'm frustrated that I have to put Warfare as the worst, but ultimately, like, it's either Warfare or Me, Myself, and Irene. And like, if Me, Myself, and Irene didn't have the Rex Allen Jr. narration, maybe that would be like enough to put it down. But like, I can't put something like something that has a very earnest Rex Allen Jr. narration over something that's just like, yeah, war sucks. I bet you didn't know that war sucks. I bet you didn't know that war is stressful, which is essentially all that Warfare is doing. So, you know, I got to give Warfare for worst, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Still an okay movie. Still, you know, still a visceral experience, but just not great. All right. Okay, well, that's about it, folks. We've waxed on long enough, and it's time to put the pen down. Until next time, when we return with another fitting chapter in our
Movie
memoirs.
memoirs.